you gotta know before you go flipping houses. Flipper the dolphin.
Yeah.
He mentioned that just before we, like, you are way too young. I'm barely old enough to remember Flipper the dolphin.
Oh, I watched him.
It's kind of like Lassie. Lassie barks, "Oh, you want me to go east 3/4 of a mile past the tree and then over to," yeah.
What is a lassie? Stuck in a well.
Yep, that's the one.
That's the one.
Stuff you got to know before, as I've been a meth remediator, I got involved in about 2008 when the market tanked and I needed another income stream. So I got actually into the meth remediation business, and I ran into a number of homes that had been flipped, and they were gorgeous and they were meth contaminated.
Yeah.
What's your experience?
Well, I've actually ran into new homes, brand new homes, never been lived in, and been contaminated from the contractors.
Oh, well, that's a good way to spend your day. While you're framing, you just bring some meth along, and the day goes past so much easier.
Exactly.
I ran into one where it was grandma and grandpa that had lived there for 1 billion years. They hired a painter, and then they listed it, and the painter, they might have had a lab in there. So they'd paint it, and then they'd lab.
Oh, wow.
And so then it gets tested for meth. And, all indications are that grandma and grandpa had been doing meth for all these years.
Oh, geez.
And it was bad, too, because the remediation just kind of destroyed that home.
Yeah, it would. So, not to scare anybody about meth, it is a thing out there you have to be aware of, though.
Mm-hmm.
And it is the buyer's choice, whether they have it tested or not.
Mm-hmm.
I get asked a lot from callers. They say, "Can I have a meth inspection done?"
Mm-hmm.
And I say, "Well, hold on. Let's get to the home, see what it's like." There's some red flags that come up generally if we need a test done. Generally, okay? That's not like the brand new home that's never been lived in type of thing, okay? But 80% of the time you can tell if it's been contaminated.
Yeah, there are some signs to look for, and I don't know if we have time in this 5-minute segment to do that, but Home Medic World has a bunch of information on meth that you can go there.
It's a great site.
One of my best stories, I'm married to the awesomest woman in the universe. And
I beg to differ.
yeah,
Go ahead.
You'd probably give me second best. And I might have to agree because you guys are both going to heaven, but that's another but so she was dating this dude named Jay all through high school, and his loss, I won, and then he never got over her, and he would call her yearly.
Oh, wow.
For 20 some odd years on her birthday, and basically talk about how awesome it was when they were dating. So, and this, most of this was not happening when I was the husband. She kind of got old on that after I married her. Mm-hmm. But that's the scenario. So he's a flipper. He's calling me because he knows that I'm the meth remediator. And he's saying, "I think I might have just finished flipping this home, and I think it might be contaminated." Sure enough, it was. He'd done a marvelous job. His choices between the cabinetry and the kitchen appliances and the flooring and the paint, it was gorgeous. It was stunning. And then I destroyed it all as I was doing the meth remediation. I had to rip out the carpet. I had to treat the cabinets and the appliances. Everything that doesn't get thrown into the landfill has to get treated with some unpleasant chemicals. And I felt bad for him. He wanted to save the carpet, but the county health department wouldn't allow that. I tried to do what I could for him, but, and it was kind of the cost of an education. into a number of other professional flippers, you know, where they would get something ready to go, and then the home inspection happens. They find out it's contaminated, and at best you're losing about $20,000. So
That's rough on this market.
yes, it is. Yes, it is. And, you know, and then you might get maybe the furnace that was destroyed by the chemicals, or maybe they're just removing the furnace entirely because they can't really reliably clean it. Those sorts of things. What have you run into?
So I've run into, like I said, the new home.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted it tested for meth, and then I found out it was a string of homes because the contractor went hopping.
Mm-hmm. Oh dear.
So again, find out who your contractors are. And there's a lot of homes, older homes in Salt Lake especially, that have come up hot for these type of things. So buyer beware, really.
Yeah. And what I did with a lot of my guys is, you know, I didn't need to necessarily be the guy that made my living $100 at a time. So I would do some meth tests, but I basically told this guy, look, you know, hire me when you need a full inspection. Here's how to do a meth test.
Okay.
And then he would do it, and that made me a hero. And then I was the first person he would think of whenever he needed something. Worked out nicely for him. I had some guys give me the weird eyeball, like, why are you turning away money? And I'm like, my goal is not to do home inspections. My goal is to serve people. Money just happens.
Right. That's a great way to do it.
Yeah. Anything else you think we need to know about meth before we move on?
Well, if you're going through a home and you find syringes or
I've got stories.
or any paraphernalia as such, and you know, if you find a little bit of blood splatter along the walls, or the window blinds have been messed up considerably bad, hinges that are busted off the wall, or the door frame's been jacked up. There's a lot of things to look for in a home that could be contaminated. But you need to know these things before you purchase the home.
Yes, you do. And either you can set about researching to know all things about all things, or you can just hire a good inspector.
Right.
We'll be right back.